Yes, hello again. This, I think, is Tarot lesson number 85, and I think I'm back to regular posting. I had two projects that were just not getting done, and I had to get them done, and they're done, kind of. So, anyway, one of them is this. The Tarot Reader is finally finished, and it's uploaded, and it's a Kindle, and it's a paperback. So if you're interested, what it is the first 13 lessons are tarot lessons, and I transcribed them and fixed them up and added information and made it readable. So that's the Tarot Reader Volume 1, and the subtitle is "The Sky's the Limit." It's a bit like Mission Impossible 4, Rogue Nation, the Tarot Reader Volume 1, "The Sky's the Limit." Anyway. So it's available on Kindle via Amazon. I'll try and remember to put a link in the description. So that's one project done. Now I'm on to Volume 2, which is going to be Tarot Lessons 14 to 30 or something like that. The other thing is the astrology course is now done. But it took ages to make a website. So it's now astrology-in-action.com. And if you go there, if you're interested, if you go there, you'll land on the Start Here page where I explain what's going on and what it's all about and why... I sort of explain why you ought not to do it, but that's a different story. So it's called Learning Astrology from the Inside Out, and I called it that because everywhere you go, they always start with the overview, and then they zero in on the individual, and that's the wrong way around. You start with the person, and then you go out, and that's why I'm calling it from the inside out, rather than from the outside in, which is what everybody does. So... there are bits and pieces to be done still at the site, but if you go there, you'll get the gist of it, and you can buy it there, and I'll send you a link so you can download all 27 hours of video and audio, and you can work through the course at your own speed, and then we can have some discussion back and forth. So that's the second thing. Those are the two projects that are now done, kind of. The other thing is, maybe 10 days ago, I had a chat with a fellow called Simon in Belgium, and he has a channel called the Akasha Mystic, and I'll put a description down below. And we talked about the tarot, and the video is up there if you want to go and take a look. But partly why I'm mentioning it is because I say here and there, if you take a card, any card, there's a 10 of coins, and talk about it and listen to what you're saying, you'll discover that you say things you didn't know that you knew. And I'm saying this because when I was talking with Simon, I said at one point that think of the tarot as a big building where you store ideas. And I said that's quite good, but I've never said that before. I didn't know that I even had the idea. So, but it's not like the tarot, because people think the tarot is all about meanings, and it's not. Well, it is and it isn't. It's really about ideas and concepts and intuitions and possibilities, and you've got different bits and pieces, and you join them all together in different kinds of ways to answer particular questions. And in that way, the tarot is like it's a place where you store ideas, which you can work and rework and manipulate and massage and mold into different things that will, so that the same card can answer multiple questions in multiple different areas of life. So a court card isn't just a person, it can be all sorts of other things as well. It can be an attitude, a way of behaving, it can be an idea, it can be a goal or a dream that somebody has to be like this particular court card. So, those are the three things: the Astrology in Action, the Tarot Reader Volume 1, And now I'm starting on volume 2. Did I mention that? Can't remember. Anyway, so this was going to be about, from before, I can't remember who it was, asked for more about the Wheel of Fortune. And I really don't know much to say directly about this at this point. But if you look, the Wheel of Fortune is a circle. And it occurred to me, thinking about circles, the world, you can look at it as kind of a circle, but it's really an ellipse. And the difference between a circle and an ellipse is that in a circle, once you get out to speed, you keep going at the same speed. I mean, you can use brakes in a car and slow down and speed up and so on. But it's a different kind of motion in an ellipse, because with an ellipse, you get quicker and slower depending on where you are in the cycle. Here with the Wheel of Fortune, you control the speed. So if things are going well, you can get more of it. If things are going badly, you can back away from it. But with the World card, it's as if it's got its own momentum. And so with the World, the project is going to go at its own speed. And sometimes it will be going well. Sometimes it won't be going well, maybe with the World reversed. But there's not a lot you can do to control the speed or how quickly something is going to happen or not happen. Whereas with the Wheel of Fortune, you've got more control. So at this point, I'd like to talk a little bit about something. I don't know if I've mentioned this before. It's 3 symbols, and they're worth looking at. There's the circle, which is the spirit, the semicircle, which is soul, and the cross, which is matter. And so think about these now and again and see what you get out of it. There's 2 reasons for this. One is partly because you'll find some of these shapes are in tarot cards, and it'll give you a better understanding of what the card is about. But at the same time, it's a bit like if you spend some time wondering about the circle, and it's the spirit, and what is spirit, and what does it mean, and how does it work, and what's it good for, and what can go wrong with it, and ask yourself questions about spirit and a circle. And then do the same for the semicircle, which is the soul. What's the difference between spirit and soul? This seems to be reflecting. And this is like, the circle is complete. It's whole. There's no beginning and no ending. And so you can start anywhere with a circle. But with a semicircle, can you start anywhere? Maybe you need to start at the top or the bottom. Or you discover when you get to the end that you can't keep going. At a certain point with a semicircle, you've got to come back. You can only come back. And then it's like you're trapped in a way with a semicircle that you're not trapped in a circle because it goes round and round. Whereas the cross is a cross of matter. And so this is you asleep, and that's you when you're awake. So maybe that's what the cross of matter is about, where you've got, and this can be sunrise, midday, sunset, and midnight. So it can represent 4 key moments of a day or 4 key moments in a cycle. So this is the beginning of the project or the beginning of the relationship. This is the high point. But then that's the sunset where things wind down, and then you inevitably come to midnight, which can be a time where you rethink the purpose of the relationship so that you can have a new beginning. Or maybe what happens in a lot of relationships that sort of peter out, and you've got a good point, and then it's sort of you get into habits, or you get into the same old, and you end up going downhill, and you end up, it's dark and it's boring and there's nothing happening. So it can be that this cross can represent 2 different ways of handling a situation when things are kind of reaching an end point. Do you just give up and go into the darkness, or do you figure out how can we have a new beginning? So if you spend some time wondering about circles, semicircles, and crosses, you'll find that you think differently and you get ideas, you get intuitions, you get inspirations in all sorts of different areas of life, not just with the tarot, but it's as if meditating or pondering the circle, the semicircle, and the cross triggers activity in your own brain, in your own mind, in your own understanding and imagination, so that you're then able to see what you didn't see before. So just so we know, I picked, there's the Judgment card, and what have we got in the flag that the angel is blowing on the flag, on the trumpet the angel's blowing? We've got a cross. So what does this tell us about the nature? Is this the angel is telling us things that relate to the earth? Because if you go back to here, the Wheel of Fortune, we've got a circle and we've got a cross in the middle, which is telling you something. I won't say at the moment what it might mean, but you know, what you come up with is going to be good, and it's going to be important for you, and it's a next step on your journey through the tarot as you uncover and develop ideas. So we've got the Judgment card's got that. The Moon card, here we've got a circle and a semicircle together, but there's no cross. So the Judgment card is about the material world, because there's sunrise, sunset, noon and midnight, whereas with the Moon card there is no material world connection. It's spiritual and it's soulful, because we've got a circle and a semicircle represented in the card. And last but not least, there's the Ace of Cups. And what have we got? This dove is holding a little circle with a cross in the middle. So what does that tell you about what's going on with the Ace of Cups? So the other thing is, okay, this is the sun, the symbol for the sun, and it's a circle with a dot in the middle. It's like a circle with a little tiny circle on the inside. So the sun in a horoscope, or the sun generally, is about spirit, whereas the moon is represented like that with a semicircle. The moon is reflection, and the moon has no light of her own. So the moon reflects the sun. So the moon, it's like if there's a strong influence in the room, and this can go back to the Moon card, even though the moon and the astrological moon and the Moon card aren't the same, but it's like, what's the strongest influence here with the Moon card, or who is the strongest individual in the relationship, or in the company, or in the department? Because that's the person whose force, strength is going to be reflected by the department, because the moon reflects the sun. And then we've got the cross of matter. So that's the sun, that's the moon. 3 is Jupiter, and Jupiter looks like that. You've got a cross of matter and a semicircle. So Jupiter contains soul, and we've got a connection with sunrise, with the planet Jupiter, which represents expansion. And so even if you look at this and it means nothing to you right now, you'll find that a week from now or 2 weeks from now, you'll look at this thing and something will click. Something will have been developed or uncovered or opened up within your mind, and you'll have a question, or you'll have something you wonder about, or you'll look and think, maybe that looks like the number 2, but it's got a straight line down it. So what's the connection between Jupiter and the number 2? You might wonder, and you'll begin to think differently and think more creatively as well. So that's Jupiter but Jupiter's got no spirit, no circle. The number 4 is the planet Uranus, which looks like that. It looks a bit like a a TV connector thing on a roof. So Uranus, the number 4, has, well, we can also do Uranus like that, which is a sign of Pisces, like that. If you can see, so the number 4 it's kind of complete in its own way because it's got a circle, a cross, and a couple of semicircles. Whereas Mercury is the number 5, and Mercury looks like that. And Mercury 2 has got a circle for spirit, the semicircle of soul, and the cross of matter. And 5 is the number of mankind, of people. So this is you, Mercury, and it's me, and it's all of us, individually. And we've got quite a lot of spirit. We control matter because it's above, and it's a semicircle. We receive from above. This can be like the magician card holding his baton up and drawing down energy from above down to earth. And in our own way, we receive inspiration from above, and then in some way it expands, or it does something to our spiritual sense, which then gives us greater control over what happens in the world. The number 6 is Venus, and Venus is like that, a circle over a cross. But there's no semicircle. Venus is spirit and matter, but no soul. Venus does not reflect, doesn't know how to reflect. 6, 7 is Neptune. And Neptune is illusion and delusion, and it's supposed to be spiritual understanding, but there's no spirit, there's no circle in the symbol for Neptune. What does that mean? What is it telling us? And that's the kind of thing to wonder about and see what you come across, or see what ideas you get. 8 is Saturn. So that is Jupiter, which represents expansion, right? This is Saturn, that represents contraction or discipline, and you can see the kind of mirror images of each other. But in the cross, this is above the horizon; it's visible. This is below the horizon, and it's invisible, because you're going from darkness, sunset to noon, to sunrise. It's dark. This is daylight, daytime, sunrise to sunset. So with Jupiter, you can see the moon, you can see the soul, but with Saturn, you can't see. It's invisible. The sensitive part, maybe, of Saturn is hidden. With Jupiter, it's obvious because it's above the horizon. And so maybe that's why Jupiter's got a reputation for being a good planet, whereas Saturn has also got an equal amount of soul, but it's invisible. And then Mars looks like that, the god of war. This is Mars' personal creative energy, and this is Mars. Mars used to look like this. It was passive Mars, and it was the opposite to Venus, which looks like this, the circle over the cross. So Venus and Mars go together, and they're kind of mirror images of each other as well. And last but not least is Pluto. So Pluto may remind you of Mercury, because Pluto's got a circle, a semicircle, and a cross of matter. And so Pluto represents mankind, each individual person. And Pluto represents mankind as a group, as a whole. It's all of us together. And the difference between you, singular, and you, plural, is there's an awful lot of spirit in you personally. There isn't much spirit when you get a group of people together in the masses. There's a much more reflection. So the masses are easier to control. You go to a football game and you've got the supporters of Manchester United at one side and the supporters of Liverpool at the other, and they hate each other. And somebody Somebody does something on the field and they fall over, and one half of the crowd goes crazy with excitement, and the other half of the crowd goes crazy with disgust. But it's easy if you're a member of a group or a crowd to get sucked into the atmosphere. And this is shown with Pluto by the big semicircle. So you can look at the semicircle as the idea of being sucked into something, going back to the number 2 in the moon. To what extent are you sucked in? So that's what the moon card can be about. There's a lot of good in it with the sun, but are you going to be sucked into doing things that you wouldn't normally do, perhaps? And then Pluto represents, where is Pluto? There. And it's above the cross of matter. And so this is partly why I get so bored with people talking about Pluto going into Aquarius, because Pluto is not a personal planet. Pluto represents involvement with the masses. It doesn't represent your own personal transformation. It represents transformation because of groups and group activity. Anyway, so that's something for you to consider, I think, if you want to, of course. And if you find you try it and it doesn't seem to be doing anything, don't worry about it. It will later, because you're sort of educating yourself, to go back to one of the things I said early on, that we have to be, when we're reading cards for other people, we're telling them what's going on and maybe giving them solutions or offering suggestions. But we're also at the same time meant to be educating ourselves. And part of our education, really, you get great results if you spend some time with the circle, the semicircle, and the cross. So, thanks for watching. Hope you made it this far. I'll be back in a few days. I'd like to say 5, and I'll try to make it 5 days. Apart from that, have a good day, and if you have comments, leave them down below, and we'll see how it goes. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.